She was not a concubine. She was not a rival for the throne. She was the blood of the dynasty. When Fatma Sultan walked through the gates of Topkapi Palace, even Hürrem felt the air change. Because Fatma was not there to survive, she was there to confront. In a palace where silence was survival and obedience was power, Fatma spoke loudly, loved fiercely, and defied even her brother, Suleiman the Magnificent. This is not just the story of a forgotten Ottoman princess. This is the story of a woman who stood against the current of history and paid the price. Fatma Sultan was born into the very heart of Ottoman power, a daughter of Selim I and Hafsa Sultan, making her the full sister of Suleiman the Magnificent. From birth, Fatma carried the weight of imperial blood. Unlike concubines who earned their place, Fatma was born with authority. Historically, Fatma Sultan was known as educated, proud, sharp-tongued, and fiercely loyal to her family. In Magnificent Century, her character embodies the old Ottoman aristocracy, a generation that believed dynastic honor stood above all, even love. She grew up watching her mother Hafsa rule the harem with iron discipline, learning early that power was not always loud, but it was always present. When Suleiman ascended the throne, the palace changed forever. What once belonged to tradition now bent to emotion. And at the center of this transformation stood Hürrem Sultan. For Fatma, this was not simply jealousy, it was ideological warfare. Fatma believed that sultans rule with reason, not passion, and that concubines must never outrank princesses. The rise of Hurrem represented everything Fatma feared, a new world where blood mattered less than influence. And so, from the moment Fatma arrived at the palace, her presence felt like a challenge, a reminder of the old order. The clashes between Fatma and Hurrem were not loud. They were lethal in tone. Fatma spoke openly where others whispered. She questioned Hurrem's influence over Suleiman, in the legitimacy of her power and the future of the dynasty under her guidance. In Magnificent Century, Fatma often serves as the voice of the court's suppressed resentment, saying what Mahidevran could no longer afford to say. Hürrem, however, did not fear Fatma. She understood something Fatma did not. Power is not inherited. It is taken. Their exchanges were sharp, controlled, filled with unspoken threats. Two women representing two eras of Ottoman rule. Historically, Fatma Sultan was married multiple times, not for love, but for state strategy. Her husbands included high-ranking Ottoman officials, chosen to strengthen alliances, balance power, or remove threats from the capital. In the series, these marriages are portrayed as chains, not unions. Fatma was strong, outspoken, and unwilling to submit, qualities admired in a ruler but dangerous in a wife. Each marriage ended in tragedy, execution, political downfall, disgrace. With every loss, Fatma grew harder, her grief turning into defiance. The most painful clash was not with Hurrem, it was with her brother. Fatma accused Suleiman of cruelty, favoritism, and allowing love to eclipse duty. For Suleiman, this was betrayal. For Fatma, it was a highlight of her animosity towards Hurrem. In Magnificent Century, this confrontation is raw and devastating. A sister speaking truths no one else dares to voice. Suleiman listens, but does not bend, because empires move forward, not backward. Fatma did not die in chains. She was not executed. Her punishment was irrelevance. She was sent away from the palace, removed from influence, silenced not by force, but by distance. For a woman raised at the center of power, exile was worse than death. She faded from court politics, from history's spotlight, remembered only in fragments. Fatma Sultan was not perfect. She was not gentle. She was not adaptable, but she was brave. She stood as the last echo of an old empire, a world ruled by lineage, not manipulation. In a palace that rewarded silence, she spoke. In a system that demanded submission, she resisted. And though history sidelined her, her story still whispers through the marble halls. Because sometimes the most powerful figures are not the ones who win, but the ones who refuse to surrender who they are. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Ottoman palace history, subscribe and comment. Was Fatma Sultan right to oppose Hurrem and Suleiman, or was she fighting a lost cause?